So let's look at 2C, redeeming rest. I love talking about this. I think this is such a valuable thing to be thinking about, and it's a great way to end KLMS. Let's look at time spent resting. Point 1, work and rest. God works in order to provide what is necessary for relationship to occur. So God works and then he stops working. And what he works is so that relationship can be created. It is interesting. So we talked about how God worked in creation to create time, space, and resources. I just need to say it's a little bit of a sub-note. It's not the main point, but I just think it's helpful. Some people, when they read Genesis chapter 1, they read it as a scientific textbook. That this is a story about how God created matter. It's actually not. The best way to describe Genesis 1 is that if I'm, so I built this chair. If you're gonna ask me, say, how did you build the chair, or how did the chair come to be? I won't say, well, in Central America, somebody planted a black walnut seed, and then that black walnut seed grew. It became a tree, and then somebody chopped it down. And no, I'm going to say, I had some black walnut, and I built the chair. I don't start from the seed. I start from the part of building the actual chair. Genesis 1 is similar. It doesn't start from how creation was, how matter was formed. It starts from what he did with the matter. Are you following me? I think this is a helpful thing to know, because sometimes people are disappointed in Genesis chapter 1 because they're expecting Genesis 1 to answer scientific questions when Genesis 1 isn't trying to do that. It's not talking about the creation of matter. It's talking about how the chair was built. And so when you make it try to say something that it isn't really saying, then it becomes kind of awkward and disappointing. But when you know what the goal was, back when Genesis 1 was written, everybody assumed that God's created the world. That's not, they just wanted to know which God was in charge. And so that's what the story is about, is how this God took created matter and has organized creation. Subpoint, I just think it's interesting for those of you who are interested in apologetic kind of things. That God rested from his creation does not mean that he took a vacation. It means that he enjoyed what he made, namely you and I. So at the beginning of Genesis 1, it says that he hovered over the earth. He did not take up residence. He did not live on the earth. The story of Genesis 1 is the story of the building of a temple called earth. And that temple called earth is where God came to dwell with humanity. That's what the story of Genesis 1 is. I don't want to go into more detail. There's a great book that's quite easy to read called The Lost World of Genesis 1 by John Walton. It's far and away my favorite book to explain Genesis 1. The Lost World of Genesis 1 by John Walton. And it's an easy read. You'll really like it. It's super helpful. But to rest, okay, back to the furniture analogy. I finished making the chair. Do you know what it means to rest? It means to sit in the chair. It means to enjoy what I made. If you're a cook and you're working at cooking, guess what it means to rest from cooking? Eating the food. You enjoy what you work. So if I'm working to support my family, what does it mean to rest? Spend time with my family. Enjoy my family. When God rested from creation, what did he do? Enjoyed creation, otherwise known as you and I. Isn't that a great way to look at rest? So rest isn't, I'm out of here, I got to go on a vacation. That's not rest. Rest is, when I'm with my kids, I discipline them, I shepherd them, I care for them. Rest means that we get to go out and have a party together. And when we're all together, you're not going to be arguing with each other and being rude and obnoxious, because I did all that work. We can now enjoy this time together and have a lot of fun. So I stop working and I just enjoy my kids. That's what rest means. To enjoy what you've worked for. Typically, we describe rest as an escape from work instead of an enjoyment of what we have worked for. If the reason we work is only to make money and endure the experience, then we do need a break. But if we have worked to love God, one another, and the world, then rest is now about enjoying those relationships. So, if you're working selfishly, then you need a break from work. But if you work for love, work itself is actually energizing. Right? I spent the whole day being with Jesus and loving others. This is a fun day. This is a good day. I don't need to take a break from it because I'm having fun now. But I don't want to work the whole time, or I can't just enjoy the relationships. So I'm going to do that too. It's not like I'm frustrated and now happy, resentful and now joyful. No, the whole thing is fun. The whole thing is good news. But I just have two different forms of it. One was working for it, and the other is now resting in it. You doing okay with that? Isn't that good news? I just think that's so helpful. This is why the reward for work is a day of rest, because we get to enjoy our relationship with God and others. This is the purpose of the weekly rest and seasonal. This is the purpose of weekly rest and seasonal vacations. Leviticus 23. There are 6 days when you may work. By the way, notice it's not 5. It's 6. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest, a day of sacred assembly. You are not to do any work wherever you live. It is a Sabbath to what? The Lord, for relationship with him. On top of this, God commanded the Jews to go to at least 3 festivals a year. Can you imagine? The commands of God is you must go to the party. He commands 3 parties a year minimum. Minimum. You got to go to 3 parties every year. I'm telling you, you have to go. It's the command of the Lord. And so they all go to Jerusalem and they party for a good week, depending on which festival it is, and they just party. That's what God commanded. Because he cared about it so much, he insisted on it. I don't want you working all the time. Come on, let's have a party. Let's just enjoy each other. You would have read this in KLMS, but I just love, this is one of my favorite stories. The story is told of a businessman walking along the beach one mid-morning, talking intensely on his cell phone. After he finishes his call, he notices a fisherman relaxing by his boat with his young son. He shouts to the fisherman, "Why are you not out fishing?" The fisherman replies, "I've already caught enough fish for the day." "Why don't you go and catch more fish?" "Then what?" "Then you can make more money." "Then what?" "Then you can buy more boats and employ more people and eventually have a large and successful business." "Then what?" "Then you can relax on the beach and enjoy your family." To this the fisherman said, "What do you think I'm doing today?" I just love that story. Isn't that great? Ecclesiastes says, "The toil of a fool so wearies him that he does not even know how to go to a city." And, just enjoy himself. The idea is that something is very wrong when work is so tiring that we don't even have the energy to receive the blessings for which we labor. I think work should be energizing and leisure should be energizing. I love going on holidays with my family. It's just so much fun. We just get to enjoy each other and do meaningless things. just because we're doing it together. And we have so many. Most of our stories, family stories, revolve around vacation. Um, One of the stories we were just retelling it the other day. We went river rafting, and that's really fun. The whole family just loves river rafting. I get mostly sick. It's like up and but anyways, I take a Gravol beforehand so I can have fun. And whenever the water's calm, then the guide always tries to get you talking and asking questions. And so that one of the guides says, "What kind of animal do you want to be?" And little Jonah will say, "I want to be a lion." And and then and they get around to Noah, and the guide says, "No, what kind of animal do you want to be?" He says, "I want to be a sheep." Like a teenage boy wants to be a sheep. So why do you want to be a sheep? He says, "So that a lot of people can benefit from my body." Like it's just such an inappropriate thing. But everybody just, only he can is just being silly. But, we still, anyways, you just have fun. It's just fun. So when we understand that the true purpose of work and rest is about relationship, then they are both injected with a powerful level of meaning, life, and joy. We said work needs to be about relationship, so does leisure. Think about leisure. It's kind of funny. I don't want to be too exposing, but I think of, I perform the marriage ceremony for lots of people. That's a more accurate thing to say. I don't marry a lot of people. But I perform the marriage ceremony for a lot of people. And so I'll ask them, I'll say, what are you going to do for your honeymoon? And they'll say, "I'm going to go to Disneyland." And I'm thinking, really? Okay. You do have a woman. But okay, you want to go see Mickey Mouse? You can see Mickey Mouse, I guess. But I'm not sure that, anyways, okay, go to, you can kind of forget that this might be a very special moment between a man and a woman. And so why are you going to do that? Anyways, but the idea is, if you're going to have a vacation, think about the relational component of it. How will this move you toward enjoying God, enjoying your family, enjoying your friends? Because at the end of the day, I don't know how much, I've done a little bit of traveling, and look, another tree. Wow, that has different leaves than the tree back home. It's cool. Wow, look, a different building than back home. They make that one out of mud. That's different than home. We make ours out of wood. It's different. Really, it's not that interesting. Wow, look it, we're not at home now. It's hot in the car. It's not that great. I flew to Paris. It just sounds cool. Really? It's just Paris. I haven't been to Paris, but I've been to London. London's dirty. I'm sure it was nice people there. It's just a dirty city. I don't know. Old buildings. Queen lives in that one. It's good. I already saw it in a picture, but but what's fun is Debbie and I went together. And we experienced that together. That's fun to me. And now I do want to go see where the Queen lives, but I'm sharing an experience with my family or with my wife or with my friends. And so let relationship drive your leisure as much as it drives your work. And your vacations are going to be way more fun. So let us trust God to give us what we need for life and relationship. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat. For he grants sleep to those he loves. I love that because I love sleeping. Conclusion. Do you stop to enjoy your relationships, or are you always working on something? When Debbie and I go out for a date, we never talk about anything deep. We'll have deep talks at another time. When we go out for a date, we just talk about things that are funny and that we enjoy. because we don't want to always be working on our relationship. We do that all the time. We just go out to enjoy each other. And we need to get around to do that. All of us do. Gratefully, God commands us to stop working and to enjoy the fruit of our labor. Perhaps we can see the vanity of always trying to make more money and never getting around to enjoying our relationships. But there are other kinds of overwork that are less obvious. For example, we can always be working on our marriage, improving our character, getting fit, or building the church. And we never stop to enjoy our work or God's grace. This is why when we have family feasts where we eat together as a church, we realize the last time we did it, we put in a training time, and we realized we shouldn't have done that. The training was excellent. But we need a time to get together as a church and just laugh and enjoy each other and have no other agenda going on. Super valuable to do. So next time, we're just not going to do anything. We're just going to eat and do very little else and just sit and enjoy the relationships. That's resting. So, are you so tired of working on your career, home, church, missional and spiritual life that you need a break? When work is rightly understood, then rest is not a time to overcome exhaustion. It is a time to enjoy all that God has done in and through you. So what are you creating with your work? Work to create the time, space, and resources to enjoy God and others. For it is then that we experience the abundant life God promises. Pleasure and enjoyment, then, are as necessary spiritual activities as our work and responsibility. J. Packer, my advisor when I was at Regent College, contempt for pleasure, so far from arguing superior spirituality, is actually the sin of pride. Oh, I don't rest. I work for Jesus. Pleasure is divinely designed to raise our sense of God's goodness, deepen our gratitude to Him, and strengthen our hope of richer pleasure to come in the next world. Isn't that great? Pleasure is a gift from God. Enjoyment is a defining mark of following Jesus Christ. We should be happy people. Remember, we said that in China, the government was able to find out, they can find out who the Christians are in any workplace because they're the ones who are smiling. Isn't that interesting? So they go, oh, you're smiling. You must be a Christian because only Christians smile at this job. It's how they could find out who Christians are. I think that's great. The only reason why God forbids some form of what the world calls pleasure is that they are not ultimately pleasurable, either for us or others. True pleasure, however, is a defining characteristic of God's will for our life. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly.